Hello and good evening. This is Mumudu Gajaga with QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Thank you for joining us. First, here are the main local news headlines. President Adama Barrow has given his first press conference since his re-election to a collection of national and international media. Veteran politician Halifa Saleh has called time on his representative political career. The Secretary General of the PDOIS made the statement following his unsuccessful bid for the presidency in the just concluded election. In the first of a series of reports, we asked some voters in Kanifing municipality what they have at the top of their wish list for the president elected. The special representatives of the UN Secretary General for West Africa and the Sahel has commended Gambians for the peaceful conduct of the December 4th presidential elections. How will the conducting of a peaceful election help the tourism sector? We went to find out. And a British Royal Navy ship has arrived in the Gambia for a week-long visit. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. In a maiden press conference after his re-election, President-elect Adama Barrow has reaffirmed his commitment to uniting Gambians and positioned infrastructural development at the top of his agenda for developing the country. The President-elect also revealed ongoing negotiations with investors to bridge the Banjul Barra crossing points. Murulamin Choi was there and this is his report.
Following his victory in the December 4th presidential election, President-elect Adama Barrow faces the press for the first time at the State House and fielded questions that allowed him to highlight his development objectives for the Gambia during his second mandate. He says his first task is to unite people divided after an election. He promises to be a president for everyone. As ever, President-elect Adama Barrow puts infrastructure development at the forefront of his policy for developing the Gambia, and he takes the opportunity to stress this in his maiden press conference.
You cannot develop education without the infrastructure. If you want to industrialize the agricultural sector, you cannot without the infrastructure. Communication, road network, infrastructure. You cannot expand electricity without infrastructure. So all development is linked to infrastructure. So my focus and direction is to develop this country, to develop the infrastructure, to make sure the infrastructural development, we continue with it.
During his first time in office, the head of state says that his development record is beyond expectation, which earned him the citizens' trust for his re-election for a second term. President-elect Barrow reveals his government's ongoing negotiation with investors to bridge the Banjul Barra crossing points.
And this negotiation, most of the time, what you see outside and what is inside sometimes is different. And we are serving the interests of this country, the national interest, supreme interest of this country. That's why we are negotiating, and these are highly technical, because we are looking at a cost between 700 million to 1 billion. It will be the biggest project in the history of this country. But we are very optimistic. As we are negotiating with other companies, we think we will build the bridge.
On transitional justice and constitutional reforms, President-elect Adama Barrow reassures Gambians that he will work towards delivering justice, reconciliation and reparations for victims, and that his government will deliver on a new constitution which includes presidential term limits. President-elect Barrow's approach to addressing the cost of living for Gambians is to invest in and industrialize agriculture for the country's self-sustenance in food consumption.
Realize our agricultural sector. We take farming as a business so that we can produce enough to feed this country, so that we depend inwards than outside.
Access to stable water and electricity are concerns for Gambians, which the President gives an assurance will soon be addressed through ongoing projects, including through the OMVG or Gambia River Basin Project.
Let me encourage Gambians that maybe before end of December, we would have been connected to Jarasoma, Brikama and Jarasoma. Substations would have been connected to the OMVG. And by then, we would have gotten over 50 megawatts. That is more than 60% of our demand. So we would have stable electricity supply 24 hours. It will address the problem of electricity and water at the same time.
The press conference ends after the President-elect takes questions from all journalists representing different local and international media and ends with him thanking the press for its contributions to the development of the country. Throughout the day, congratulatory messages were sent to the President-elect from home and abroad. Among those offering congratulations were President Buhari of Nigeria. President Mr. Buhari also commended Gambians for their high sense of civility, maturity and patriotism and assured President Barrow and all Gambians of Nigeria's commitment and partnership as they collectively work on making the country better and stronger for posterity. Also offering congratulations was PDOIS, party of defeated candidate Halifa Sallah, and Bibi Dabo, leader of political party Gambia for All. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
The Secretary General of the People's Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism, PDOIS, Halifa Sallah, has told journalists that his party have no evidence from their party representatives that there were illegalities during the voting, thus cannot question the election results. Honorable Sallah also announced he will no longer run for public office, but will offer his support and advice if contacted. Babakar C has the rest of that story.
The Doi party leader was addressing the press regarding the announcement of the just concluded presidential results, in which he was a presidential candidate. Sallah was one of the two aspirants to take part in a televised debate ahead of the election. Some political parties have questioned the authenticity of the Saturday polls, but according to Honorable Sallah, after a thorough consultation, his party has no evidence to say otherwise.
Any registered political party which has participated in the presidential elections or an independent candidate who has participated in such an election may apply to the Supreme Court to determine the validity of the election of the president by filing a petition within 10 days of the declaration of the result of the election. I wish to note that we have consulted our polling agents and we do not have any substantial evidence that we can present before the Supreme Court to challenge the validity of the presidential election.
On his political career and the future of Doi, this is what Sallah has to say.
It's my duty to serve my country in any capacity at any time. I have done so based on the demands of times and circumstances. I've emphasized that 2016 was a turning point. For me, that was the opportunity we had to put an end to self-perpetuating rule and build the architecture of a state where all of us will be proud to be called our homeland. So to me, we have not achieved that. That's why the 2021 elections became an instrument for me to demonstrate precisely what we wanted to demonstrate in 2016. That is a government that will not go beyond 5 years, whose fundamental objective would be to build the type of state that all of us will be proud to call our homeland. I said that for me, even if I don't win an election, I must still give that example that, well, we must call it a day in terms of representation. But that does not mean that I will hate my country and people. It means the continuity of that love of country and people will compel me to work with anybody to continue the agenda of ensuring that the people take charge of their destiny and take ownership of their homeland, Now you must live with your decision. We have a nation to build and a destiny to claim. Each of us must sit down and ask ourselves the question, who is the loser? Who is the winner?
Halifa Babakar Sallah co-founded DOI in 1986 and will be remembered as one of the most respected and revered political figures in the history of the Gambia. Babukar Si, QTV News.
Following the December 4th elections, Gambians re-elected the incumbent President Adama Barrow to serve for another term. Fatusi Sanyang went out to ask people what their expectations are, having given him a mandate to continue.
The importance of elections cannot be overemphasized. Presidential elections are the democratic process of electing presidents to run the affairs of the state, and in every country, successful elections bring increased expectations. From the overwhelming nature of his victory, it is clear Gambia have shown they are satisfied with the manifesto and the projects of the incumbent. Safi Sarr, a businesswoman, pinpoints the areas he believes should be improved.
Transparent na. Adama Barrow mo nek mu takandigam góorgóorlu wàññi price yi ci marché bi at least dimbali ndaw yi.
The election was indeed peaceful and transparent. I want the president to reduce the prices of commodities. Both rice and sugar are expensive. Please investigate that sector. Veronica Ndume-Jata, a school secretary, says government should try and control the price inflation in the country.
Country have decided to give him second chance. I believe he should look at the feeding aspect. Like, things are so expensive nowadays, and the way prices fluctuate, you know.
I would like the president to consider improving on the health sector, which is the most important sector, but it is lacking, and to also improve the tourism sector. Hadi Sanyang, who works in the tourism sector, says the government should try and improve in two of the major sectors, namely the health and the tourism sector. Samba Sise, Save the Garage at Manjai Westfield, advises the re-elected president simply to fulfill his campaign promises.
What I want to advise the president is that he should fulfill his campaign promises. That is to increase the number of roads and create companies where young people can work and earn a living. Also, the youth should go and work. That's what God and the prophet want.
From those we spoke to, the message for the president-elect is clear. We re-elect you because we hope you will continue to bring progress and development. For QTV News, I am Fatusi Sanyang.
Well, that report by Fatusi Sanyang takes us to a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local news stories for you. Do stay tuned.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q-Power. I am Q-Cell. I am Sunibus. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and Ria just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from Ria directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, Q-Power and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News.
His Excellency Mahamat Saleh Anadif, Special Representative of the UN Secretary-General for West Africa and the Sahel, Sunday commended Gambians for the peaceful conduct of the December 4th presidential elections. He was speaking to reporters following a closed-door meeting with President-elect Adama Barrow. And Sumana Isonyasi has more.
Accompanied to the presidency by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, and senior representatives of the various UN systems in the country, His Excellency Mahamat Saleh Anadif, speaking through an interpreter, says the peaceful and orderly way the December 4th presidential election was conducted reflects the true ideals of a nation he describes as a peace-loving country. Anadif, who has been in the country since last week, added that the elections have been peaceful, free and fair, adding that Gambians should be proud of the country's unique election model, which he says is the envy of many countries around the world.
We've been here for the last 2 days before the elections here in solidarity, because we also support the electoral institutions in the electoral process. That's why we are here.
Furthermore, he called for continuous calm, stressing the importance of maintaining peace after elections in order to ensure sustainable development, and commended all 6 candidates for conducting their campaigns peacefully.
So we have interacted with the electoral bodies. We have yesterday visited some polling stations, and what the main takeaway is the way it was, the whole process was organized, and especially this very specific model of marbles and drums for the Gambia. We really encourage the Gambians to be proud of this model, and we wish the peaceful nature of all this process to continue, and in case there is any dispute, to pursue it through legal means.
Meanwhile, he also advised young people to avoid the use of inflammatory remarks or provocation that could lead to violence, and went on to give assurance of the UN system's continuous support to the Gambia. Answana Sonyase for QTV News.
Now that the much talked about election has ended peacefully, business owners who cater mainly the tourism sector are optimistic about a bumper tourist season and year. Lole M. Camara has more on that story.
The Independent Electoral Commission declared Adama Barrow of the National People's Party winner of the just concluded presidential election, and Saturday's peaceful election was also seen by many as a victory for democracy. Speaking to QTV, stakeholders in the tourism sector expressed high hopes that this year's tourist season will be a big success. Aliou Badara Sow, former Assistant Secretary General of the Gambia Press Union, said Gambians have demonstrated the peace and tranquility we are known for, adding that many of his friends are planning to visit the country soon. He had this to say about the just concluded election.
And I visited a lot of polling stations. I went to the press briefing with the Observer mission, and all I saw is it was free and fair, and there is no major grounds really for anybody to doubt the results of the elections. I mean, before I got to Gambia, before I left the UK, I was convinced that Adama Barrow was going to win by a landslide, based on my assumption that he is against 5 opposition candidates who are sharing the opposition vote. And whereas he's got all the pro-government vote, plus a faction of the APRC, which gave him an edge. Then when I got here, then I started doubting my judgment. And I thought, no, this is too close to call. But gauging it all, I think it was very fairly conducted. The agents signed up to these results to say they agreed to the counts. And we have a system which is unique to the world, where counting is done on the spot, and we use marbles. You don't find that anywhere in the world. You can't beat that.
Malik Al-Hajilum, a businessman, and Danish Yuri, manager at the Indian Mango restaurant, respectively, both stated that this year's tourism season already looks promising, citing the outcome of the election.
Wow, election.
We are hopeful that this year tourists will come. Our fear was the election, but now that it has concluded peacefully, tourists will really come. 2 weeks before the election, many tourists left the country, and as we speak, many have arrived.
Mikhail Enbit, visiting tourists, shares their experience with regards to the election in the Gambia.
My experience is good. It's no problem in the streets or other sites.
I was very surprised because I know many African countries because I love Africa. And here the election was very friendly. No troubles around, no demonstrations, nothing, very friendly. All happens very friendly. It's good. I'm convinced about Gambia.
For Joris and Son arrived in the country on the day of the election. According to them, the experience was exciting as they saw huge crowds celebrating in the streets peacefully, which they enjoy on their way to the hotel. As business gets back on track, restaurant and shop owners are confident that this year's tourist season will work better for them and believe having a peaceful election will help towards that. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Now, away from the elections, a British Royal Navy ship, HMS Trent, has arrived in the Gambia for a week-long visit and partnership between the British and the Gambia Army. This is the first visit of a British military ship since 2009. Babukar Sy has the rest of that story.
The relationship between the two countries continues to grow from strength to strength, and one area that continues to enjoy a smooth relationship is the military sector. Already, there is a group of soldiers from the British Army in the country training the Quick Reaction Force 1. The ship will be here for a week and will engage in different activities with the Gambian Navy in a move described by the British High Commissioner to the Gambia, David Belgrove, as a partnership that will benefit both sides.
Royal Navy ship HMS Trent, which is here to strengthen the ties between the British military and the Gambian Armed Forces and the Gambian Navy. This is the first time we've had a Royal Navy ship here since 2009, so for 12 years. And this is a sign of our ongoing and growing partnership between the two countries and that enduring friendship between our two countries. So this is part of a continuing partnership, and so what the ship will be doing and the Marines on the ship and the Navy crew on the ship, they'll be working and jointly exercising and training with the Gambian Armed Forces as a sign of our continuing cooperation between the two countries and working together for international peace and security, which is in all our interests.
Commodore Madani Senghor welcomes the coming of the British ship and says the British soldiers continues to render support to our men and women in uniform.
It's very significant. It shows the partnership and friendship between the Royal Navy and the Gambian Armed Forces and the Gambian Navy in particular. And also it serves as an indication of consolidating the aspirations of the political leaderships to consolidate the bilateral partnership and cooperation in our common maritime challenges. And also it deters adversaries and also the bad guys that are in the maritime domain. We have challenges in our maritime domain in the areas of illegal, unreported and unregulated fisheries, piracy, narcotic drug trafficking, and so on. So if our adversaries see that we have partnerships, strong partnership, it helps. And as you are aware, there is a lot of activities also happening off the coast of Senegal, of the coast of the Gambia, currently in the Gulf of Guinea. And there are also challenges facing that. So with such partnerships and joint training and the exchange of ideas and familiarization of each other's capacities and capabilities will go a long way in enhancing our maritime safety and security.
I further engage Commodore Senghor on the availability of equipment as the soldiers continue to train but have limited resources to execute their functions.
Yes, government is doing all it could, and with the advent of this new mandate of His Excellency, perhaps they will have more powers in order to be able to procure the required resources. But we are doing what we can with what we have for now.
The British Royal Navy ship HMS Trent and board members will engage personnel of the Gambian Army on different training exercises and exchanges while in the country. Babukar Sy, QTV News.
That report by Babukar Sy takes us to a recap of our main news headlines. President Barrow has given his first press conference since his re-election to a collection of national and international media. Veteran politician Halifa Sallah has called time on his representative political career. The Secretary General of the PDOIS made this statement following his unsuccessful bid for the presidency in the just concluded election. In the first of a series of reports, we asked some voters in Kanifing municipality what they have at the wish list of their top agenda about the president-elect. The special representative of the UN Secretary General for West Africa and the Sahel has commended Gambians for the peaceful conduct of the December 4th presidential elections. How will the conducting of a peaceful election help the tourism sector? We went to find out. And a British Royal Navy ship has arrived in the Gambia for a week-long visit. That's all we have for you in this news bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Join us again at 10 for another bulletin.